Okay, welcome anatomy and physiology students. This is an optional video just to walk you through the week at a glance. Our targets for this week, September 28th to October 4th, is that we're going to review all of Chapter 1 targets. See the slides that are on Chapter 1 PowerPoint. It's usually on the second and third slides. You're going to practice the skills of being scientifically literate. So looking at critically consuming information presented to you, reviewing that SIFT process, and then once you are sure you have a good, reliable article, you're going to carefully analyze it using a mark it up assignment and annotating it. We're also going to compare observations versus inferences. Our tasks and assessments this week is number one, you need to be able to communicate and collaborate to make your fact or fiction poster, which will be done on a Jamboard. So you'll be writing a claim out, you'll be collecting specific evidence and quotes from each other's articles, and then you're going to present reasoning why you think this claim should be supported or rejected. Number two, you're going to review, relearn, and refresh in Chapter 1 targets. So that's a task. There's multiple ways to do that, including your online smart book. I'm practicing things like Kahoots and quizzes during on live time. And then you're going to take a lab safety quiz. That way I have a record that you know those topics before we go back to regular class and labs in person. So make sure you do that. It is open notes and you have multiple tries possible, but you do need to earn 100% before we start doing things like dissections. Your success criteria is if you can earn a 3, which is proficient, or a 4, exemplary, on your article annotation. So are you able to process both from finding to marking it up, a scientifically sound article? Number 2, earning a passing score on your Chapter 1 test. We'll talk more about how to make up points and demonstrate learning if you do not get a passing score. And then, as I already mentioned, pass your lab safety quiz with 100%. So our day 1 live agenda is going to be reviewing for your test. There's specific slides we're going to talk about that we haven't covered, and review your organ systems and what those do, and a little bit about homeostasis. Number 3, we're going to discuss very briefly your digital notebooks again and their purpose. And then we're going to talk about how to mark up articles. So we're going to move back into our discussion of fact or fiction and working on the Jamboards in teams and groups. On demand day, watch one Ed puzzle, work on your smart book for about 20 minutes. I really want you to be reviewing for your test on Wednesday. And finish the Operating on Clay People Lab. What I mean by that is several of you have not done part 2 yet, as well as the questions at the very end, which are required. In our next live class, day 2, on Thursday and Friday, we will go through and have breakout room time for you to discuss those questions. Students, there's a couple of those questions that students struggle with understanding what the question's asking. So I just want to make sure we discuss that in person during the live Zoom day. So Wednesday, you take your Chapter 1 test. You will submit your evidence that you took notes. There's 3 options for doing that. You can either have evidence by having smart book time, so I can see those. You don't need to submit anything. You can take photographs of your notes, so from a regular notebook, or you could be using your digital notebook where maybe you're copying and pasting key charts and diagrams and pictures that you're going to go back to study and use for your Chapter 1 test. So those are the 3 options for how to submit note-taking efforts and review, refreshing, and relearning information for your Chapter 1 test. Day 2 live Zoom agenda, we're going to do a learning check with the quizzes, have breakouts to discuss the Operating on Clay People analysis and results questions, and then discuss the lab section of your homeostasis lab. We may be shifting that because I do want to give you some Jamboard time. So we'll see how much time we have to discuss the claims, evidence, and reasoning, and how you're going to tag each other, so how you're going to talk to each other as you present your evidence and reasoning for rejecting or supporting the claim. Your on-demand day 2 agenda is to watch an Ed puzzle, finish your Jamboards, and then take that lab safety quiz and finish your Operating on Clay People. And there's a typo that I'll go finish. Our next chapter is actually chapter 5. We're going to move on to tissues. Those chapters in between are a review of biology. So if you have not taken a biology, I highly recommend that you do read through those chapters. They're going to get into details about more of the cellular biology chapters. And we're going to jump right in and talk about those aspects as we hit each system. So we'll talk about cells of the nervous system when we get to the nervous system, and we'll talk about bone cells or osteocytes when we get to the skeletal system. So we will cover those, but we're going to cover them as we enter each system. The one topic that's really difficult for students is histology, which is the study of tissues. We don't have microscopes, which will make it a little bit more difficult, so we'll be using some color pictures and other ways to identify different tissue samples. That is it. I put a couple resources down on the bottom here for your science literacy, your wholes, PowerPoint that goes with your textbook, as well as the fact or fiction activity are all linked there. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always available during the on-demand time using that same link, live Zoom link.